Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, the 4th of June 2023. I'm Sarah, and you're very welcome to my channel, SewMeSarah, a channel all about cross stitch and sometimes a little bit of other stitching too. Today, I want to say a big welcome to new subscribers. There have been quite a few of you of late, and I want to say thank you for subscribing and also welcome to the community. I hope that you enjoy it here. I hope that you think your subscription is worth having, and I appreciate those of you who have mentioned that you've gone back and watched a lot of the earlier videos too. So thank you for wanting to do that. It's very nice to know. I hope that you will enjoy joining me on this journey, and I thank with my whole heart those of you who have been on the journey with me already and keep coming back for a little bit more. I usually start my videos with a little bit of chat or blether about whatever's going on, what has happened since the last time that we met, and sometimes there are a little bit of other admin items to throw in there. So I just wanted to warn you that this is that section. If you aren't interested, I totally understand. Some people leave their life updates and things to the end. Mine isn't always as grand as a life update, so I don't do it for that purpose. And this is just how I choose to start the video. If you're only here to see what I've been stitching, then you might want to skip ahead a little bit. I'm sure it won't be too hard to find. There hasn't been a lot of note happening in the last few weeks. It has been busy, but nothing of grand note. It was sports day at school, so Charlotte had some races to do. It was a lovely sunny day. I'll show you a picture of her enjoying her race. But it was really good to have good weather. We've been through this all before with Andrew and spent many's a sports day in the cold, shivering and wishing for sunshine, and we were very lucky a few weeks ago to get that sunshine, and she had a great time. We have had lots of really lovely late spring weather here. It could well be our summer, so you just never know in Northern Ireland. Some years we're lucky and we get a little bit more good weather into July and a little bit of August maybe, but mostly we have good weather around exam time for the poor kids who are stuck inside revising and having to go into school to sit exams. It seems to always be lovely weather, and it is that time. So we've had plenty of good weather, and one of the things I thought you might like to see are some pictures of the walk that I take sometimes around my home area. I'm going to insert those as I just give a little bit of a chat. There's not a lot to say, but I'll just show you. I know some of you love to see pictures of Northern Ireland. I live, yes, in Northern Ireland, if you didn't already know, and I live in a little place called Annahilt, which is really just a crossroads. It's very close to Hillsborough, which has the royal residence of the king, and it's another small village, but not as small as Annahilt. I have shown in the past some pictures of my walk that I would do if I go up to Hillsborough village to walk, but I haven't been doing that lately, and I thought you might like to see some of the pictures from the walk that I do here. The Hillsborough village walk is in some of my earlier videos, and a lot of people have appreciated those, so if you like to see that kind of thing, you could pop back there and see it. Anyway, this is my walk around home here. So I live in a red brick house in a development that is essentially built in a field. But if we walk out of the development and turn left and keep turning left, we can do a loop around the house, which goes out to the country lane behind us and right around a couple of country lanes and then back on what is a main country road. It's not really a main road, but it's a main country road back to the house. And the weather has been so beautiful in the mornings when I have been out walking that I thought you would enjoy a few photographs. So we go out and there are lanes, and everything just seems to have really burst into life the last couple of weeks. The edges of the road, they've just sprung into life. We had wild garlic a few weeks back, but that seems to have been overtaken now by think maybe this is cow parsley, but I'm not entirely sure. You can see that there are other fields behind us, and there are some lovely old traditional gates on those fields, some of them. And then there's some nice old stone cottages. There are also some very grand new build homes, but I thought you would appreciate the kind of older mill house type cottages. There has been a little river back there in the lanes, and there was at one time a working watermill. And actually when we moved here about 20 years ago, the home that the watermill is now a home, and the person who lived there was trying to restore it, but they never did, and it never happened, which is a real shame that it wasn't able to be restored. Anyway, we can walk on around the lanes, and it's so lovely to be able to show you bright spring morning pictures of it, because quite often it's flooded. So when we go out in the earlier spring and winter and autumn, it's muddy and flooded, but this last few days it's just been glorious. And of course you get to hear the bird song and the cows are mooing in the fields. Sometimes we get lucky and we see hares. There are some Irish hares around here, and they are on the decline. But if you're out at the right time of the day, just around there are some hares. They're also on the lane, and I've shown a couple of pictures of some of the lovely gates that there are to properties. One of those is an abandoned laneway, basically. But I always just feel like it looks very intriguing. There's stone pillars of the gateway. The lovely iron gates are still in place, but the laneway behind it is all overgrown. I think there's a new build home up at the top there. I've never seen what is called Lochachary House. I've never seen the building. So it's fairly well back off the road, but I actually don't think that the original house is there anymore. I think it's a new build, and I think the access to it is by a different laneway now. Anyway, that's just a few pics of the walk around my home. I thought you might like to see a little bit of Irish nature, or Northern Irish nature. So today we might have a little bit of interference from the noise. I have the doors open because it's absolutely beautiful, but I don't really like to sit in the direct sunlight, so I'm just enjoying the fresh air that's coming in as a result. And I apologize for that buzzing noise. It's going to drive me mad, and I hope it doesn't drive you mad. Anyway, let's get on with the show, shall we? What else? Oh yes, I have some happy mail since last we were speaking, and that happy mail has come from Pauline. Again, Pauline at SewBags. She did send me some happy mail previously. She shared a chart with me, and I showed you that on the last video, but she sent me an extra little happy mail parcel just to cheer me up, which was really thoughtful, Pauline. And it is a personal gift, and so she said I don't have to show it, but I want to show you this beautiful bag. So this is Pauline from SewBags, and she sent me a bee bag. It's so lovely. So I'm just sharing it because it was a gift, and it was a very thoughtful gift at a very appropriate time. Thank you so much, Pauline. I wanted to show it to you because the workmanship in this is beautiful. And I do sew myself, and I do know when there's quality sewing, and this is quality sewing. So if anyone has seen Pauline on Instagram selling her bags and been tempted, I can assure you that you would not be disappointed if you were to order from her. She has, this little tag is mine, so I'm going to hide it because it's not particularly sightly. She has a little ribbon tab on here with a little bee charm, and I love this fabric. So Pauline, thank you so much. You sent it with another gorgeous card. Thank you for that. And included is a pattern, which, Pauline, I know I sent you a separate thank you on Instagram, but I don't think I mentioned the pattern. So I'm sorry about that, but I do appreciate this pattern very much. It's very thoughtful, and it's called Sarah's Sewing Bag, and it's a Stacey Nash Designs pattern. So I look forward to stitching that. There's a picture on the back of the inside. It's a little sewing pouch, basically. That would be so pretty to do. So that will be in my one day to stitch pile. And I'm very grateful for your thoughtfulness and the kind comments in your card, Pauline. Thank you very much. Okay. I also need to say thank you to those of you who reached out to me about my beading conundrum. So if you recall, and I forgot to bring one over, but I was making some little bead fobs, basically like scissor fobs or bag tags, and I was having trouble bringing the wire back up through to finish off the bottom. So I was having trouble getting it to bend and come back up through. So several of you reached out and told me that the answer to my problem would be a flexible beading wire. So unfortunately they stuck a great big barcode label over what you need to see. But if you're in the UK, I got this from Amazon, and it is 7-strand bead-along wire, and it's 0.3 millimeters. So I'll hold it up. I'm not sure if you can see everything you need to see because of that silly sticker that I can't get off properly. But this is what I found on Amazon. There may be others or other brands, but this was recommended by several of you more experienced bead workers. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It is such a lovely community to be able to reach out into and ask questions for some things that we don't know. I haven't had time to try it myself. When I do get time, I will give you a verdict on that, but I have been assured that this will help, and of course it stands to reason, stands to logic. I just didn't know there was such a thing. It should be more flexible to then pull back up through the bottom of the bead to finish things off. So thank you so much to those of you who gave me the answer to the problem. And I know the reason I'm showing you this is because there were a couple of you who said, oh, please share when you get an answer. So there you go. Okay, let's move on to the stitching, which is what you're all here for. I don't have any fully finished objects this time, but I do have one that is very close and another one that is a finished object. So the first is this little Sweet Wings Studio pattern, All You Who Hope, and I have finished it and I have stitched it into its pillow form. It just needs to be stuffed, so I have left my gap at the bottom and I will stuff that later today, I hope. Close it up and finish it with this chenille, which funnily enough in this light doesn't look like the right colour. It looks very tomato red here, deep tomato, and it's not, it's more like a wine red colour. So I don't know if you can see this little bit of tilde on the back. It matches really well with that, and actually it goes really well with the darker red that is in the stitching. I think it's just a trick of light. But that is my happy chenille from Sirdar that I talked about on the chenille marathon video. And that is how I plan to finish this one, is to stuff this into a little pillow and add chenille around the edge. That was a fun little stitch. There are some other of these little scripture stitches that Sweet Wings Studio has been releasing. So this one is a pattern that I bought for this year because it's for a gift and I really wanted to stitch this particular verse for someone. I'm going to stitch it for myself too at some stage, I think. I used 32 count Permin linen and the colour is Country French Rain and it's beautiful. It's a really lovely colour. And I used DMC threads. Some of them were as called, but most of them were, the called fors are not all DMC, but there are DMC alternatives listed. and I used some of those DMC alternatives, and the others I used as close as was in my stash to finish them up. So I'm really happy with that, and I will hopefully be finishing that and passing it on soon. And then my next finish is an amazing ta-da. I'm so excited about this. This is my biggest ever stitch. I believe that A Saviour's Praise will be bigger when I have stitched it, but this one is my biggest ever so far, and it is, this could be the last time you see it until it's fully finished. You'll probably be glad to know. It is Modern Folk Embroideries, a family patchwork sampler. You can see this has been kicking around for quite some time by the state of the pattern printout. This is Jacob's Modern Folk Embroidery SAL for the year 2020. I started it, I think, April 21, so I didn't actually do it in the SAL year, but I started in April 21 or March 21 perhaps, so I'm a little bit over 2 years, but just a little bit. I knew it would take me a long time, and I have to say it has been worth it. So here's my great big ta-da. Isn't it so nice? Okay, so I finished page 12, which was this section. Oh, it's really very big, this section over here. And then I had lots of personalizations to chart and stitch. So in this SAL, in this pattern, Jacob had left areas, I'm pointing them out here, for personalizations, for adding dates and initials. These were blank for dates and initials as well, and in here also. So as I was stitching, I didn't know what I wanted to do with those. So I highlighted them. I actually highlighted what I didn't stitch, and then I knew those were the areas I needed to come back to. So I highlighted with a highlighter pen on my pattern, paper pattern, and then I was able to come back to them. And I gave this a lot of thought as I was stitching, and for the longest time I just wasn't sure what I wanted to fit in, how many names, how many people. This is about family, this sampler, and in the end I just settled on keeping things to the 4 of us here in my family home, not extending it to grandparents and beyond. That might be for another sampler at another time. So I just kept this one to the 4 of us. So up here in what would have been pattern 1, I put hubby's year of birth and his initials. He is AME. And then on the opposite side is my year of birth, 1974, and my maiden name initials. So I am a McCulloch by birth, and it really messes things up when you want to personalize anything, because you have to do all those initials. You don't just have a single initial, you've got to do MCC, and it makes a real mess of things. And SLM just isn't right. It just, to me, that's not it. You have to have the McC. So it makes for quite long personalizations. It throws things off balance and all sorts of things. But anyway, there was room for it in this area here that Jacob had left. So, and I am Sarah Louise, so that's what the L is for, Sarah Louise. And then when we had come down, the other personalizations are at the bottom of the chart. So I came down and I put Andrew on this side here and Charlotte here. Now they just have their initials. So Andrew is also AME. We didn't think that one out very well. His A and M are both different. So Alan has a different middle name as well, but Andrew's names are also AM, and we didn't think about the fact that when Andrew was old enough to get post, everything would come to Mr. A.M. Elwood. And we're never really sure which A.M. Elwood it's for. Anyway, that is Andrew's initials. Oops, sorry, Andrew's initials. And then over here we have Charlotte. And Charlotte's middle name is Aurelia, and that is a lot to do with her dad's love of Roman history and my vetoing of a lot of the Roman names that he wanted to use. So we compromised and settled on Aurelia because it means ray of light. And Charlotte means little one. So we have the little one, the ray of light. That is how we chose her name. I think she is probably more appropriately a great big burning ball of fire, like a sun, than a little ray of light. But anyway, you know, you do your best and you hope their children might grow into their name, the meanings of their names. That is Charlotte, anyway. And then the dates were here, 2023, and there were other initials in this space here, but I just chose one of the heart designs that Jacob had included in the chart. So if you buy this whole pattern, Jacob provides a page of motifs that you can use to fill in some of the spaces for personalization. If you choose not to add initials and things, there are some hearts and other little motifs on that page that he has. So I just substituted the initials that were under here with these little hearts, and I don't know if it was the best substitution, but it's okay. It looked a bit blank without them, so I did fill something in. And then across the entirety of the bottom, Jacob had his name, and it said his work in the year 2020, but obviously this is 2023, and my name is now Sarah Elwood. So those are the personalizations, and that is my finish of a family patchwork sampler. And I am so happy that it's finished, and I am looking forward to framing it, although I'm not sure. I will probably lace it myself and order a custom sized frame. It's going to hang in my bedroom. There's a big space that's been waiting for something big to hang there, and this is what I want to hang there. So I'm thinking maybe a simple oak frame. I think there's so much in this design that speaks that the frame doesn't need to do very much except let it shine. So we shall see what choice I finally make when I get around to that. But I just wanted to say thank you to Jacob, not that he watches or anything, but this was such a beautiful design, as many of his designs are. It was a beautiful design to stitch, and I never did anything this big before, and I just took my time. I didn't pressure myself. As I said, it took me 2 years. I knew at the beginning, I've written in my little stitch journal that I aimed to finish it in 2 years. I didn't make the 2 years actually, I went over a little bit. But I knew at the time, I was sensible enough to know I wasn't going to do this in 6 months. You could do if you focused on it a little bit more. So I did make this my daily stitch for the last couple of months, and it has also been on my June plans as my focus whip. So I did decide to have a focus whip this month, and I made it this because I could see the finish coming. I didn't think it would happen quite so quickly. So I'm actually left with a few days now where I don't have a planned stitch, but that's okay because I've got lots to choose from, and I'll show you what's coming in that area very soon. So yes, this was my first focus whip, and I did finish it up. Between it and the daily thread, I managed to get it done, and I really couldn't be any happier with this. So I just hope I don't make a mess of it in the framing, but we'll see. Okay. Moving on to my whips, to my works in progress. I have a finish of sorts. So I am stitching Glitter Village, and there are 9 patterns in the Glitter Village series, and I finished pattern 5. So I count each pattern finish as a finish. This is pattern 5. It is the little church that goes right in the center if you're stitching all 9 patterns together in a 3x3 layout. Then your church falls in the center just like this. You can see the sparkle on the fabric in the sunlight this morning. This is coming together very slowly for me, but it is coming together and I am enjoying seeing it. So I did have a slow start using this fabric. It was the first time I'd ever used a sparkle fabric. It is what it's called for. 32 count raw silver linen by Swigart. I found it a little bit difficult at first, but I have gotten used to it and I've learned, you know, how to avoid a lot of shine off the fabric and that kind of thing, which really does help. I stitch in a hoop, so you can see some of the hoop marks. I stitch in a hoop for this project, and the hoop just helps to open the holes a little bit more as well. So I really love the little stained glass windows on here, and the trees are very delicate. So the colours may be a little bit dark this morning because there's no sun at the back of the house here, but that is my progress with Glitter Village. As I said, finish on house 5. Now I get to move on to house 6. And I believe it's another pink house. I like the colours in that one a lot. Okay, my last whip that I've been working on in the last fortnight is the British Isles Adventure SAL. That is Caterpillar Cross Stitches Mystery SAL that I have been doing for the last 5 months. There's only 1 month left, and our journey around the British Isles and including Ireland has taken us this month to a finish of Ireland and a little bit back up into Scotland. So this time we had St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin, which is an old medieval cathedral, a Celtic cross, a pint of the black stuff, Guinness, Guinness, sorry, and then the Giant's Causeway, which is at the very north, the very top, on the north coast of Northern Ireland. Is a formation of volcanic rocks. It's very popular to visit. I'm sorry, my ear has just popped. Anyway, yes, it's a very popular tourist attraction here in Northern Ireland. That whole far northern coastline is beautiful, and the Giant's Causeway is a big attraction up there. We have a fishing boat in the Atlantic, that really would be in the North Atlantic on this side of Ireland. And then moving over into the kind of Argyll and Bute area of Scotland, we've got some knitting yarn. Can you see? That is the knitting yarn with some knitting needles and a Highland coo. So Highland cows are my favourite. So we have spent many holidays in Scotland, and I always love to see a Highland cow when I'm there. And I'm not brave with animals at all, but I can and will stroke a Highland cow if it's over a fence. So we have 1 part left, and that part will be to finish Scotland. So we have Edinburgh here, and we'll be going up that direction, I would say. It would be interesting to see if there are a few more bits in the ocean, maybe on either side. I'm not sure whether there will be. It has been a fun mystery SAL. It has been a really exciting SAL to watch on Facebook, where people put in their own variations. So there's been a lot of alteration of this pattern as people decide that they want a particular tourist spot, or a particular building or bridge, or a particular food, or something that represents that area to them, something a bit more meaningful to them than perhaps the motifs chosen by Caterpillar Cross Stitch, but there have been some very creative and thoughtful additions or changes to the chart on this one, so it's been really fun to watch. It's been a fun SAL to take part in, and I'm very grateful to Caterpillar Cross Stitch for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to finishing it, hopefully getting it finished by the end of the month. It will release on, the last part will release on the 26th, and fingers crossed I will be able to stitch quickly enough to finish it in June. Of course, the new SAL by Caterpillar Cross Stitch, the Positivity Lifts SAL, it starts on the 23rd. So I'll have one release on the 23rd and one on the 26th running into each other. So we'll see how I cope with that. But it's only this 1 month where they overlap. Next month then there will only be Positivity Lifts. So that won't feel like quite so much coming all at once. So I'm looking forward to Positivity Lifts too. Don't forget, if you want to join that SAL and to order the kit for that SAL, you can get 10% off if you use my code SARAH10LIFTS. It's on the last video in the drop downs. There's a review on the last video. It's long, I know, because I also reviewed their new cross stitch planner. But if you're interested, that information and reviews are there. Okay, that is all of my stitching for today. I have the giveaway from last time to reveal the winner of, and the giveaway was in honor of my 2nd anniversary of floss tubing, and I am giving away Seaside Tiny Town, which arrived. The last time the pattern hadn't arrived with me yet, but it has now arrived. So Seaside Tiny Town by Heart and Hand. This is a new release. You know, it's been out a couple of weeks. It was very popular in the giveaway. So I had 91 entries. I think that is one of the biggest entries for any of my giveaways yet. So I'm glad that I chose something that you wanted, but I'm sorry I only have one to give away. And along with the chart, I am giving away this Caterpillar Cross Stitch tote bag that I bought for you. Stitching is my happy place, and I thought this would be a great place to pack up all your stitching to take to the seaside, should you choose. So this will be packaged up hopefully this week and sent off to the winner, who is Buttons and Bows, or Buttons and Bow, and you are, I believe, a UK stitcher living in a seaside town. So I am thrilled for you that you will have a seaside tiny town to stitch, and I look forward to hearing from you with your contact details, your mailing address. So if you would get in touch with me, either use the email address that's in the drop down below, or you can contact me by direct message on Instagram. I am SewMeSarah on Instagram if you would like to reach me there. So I'm thrilled to be able to send this on to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating and sharing in the fun of the giveaway. Now, another little favour that I'm going to ask of you is for all of you to share your thoughts on what should be my Jolly July start. So I have lots of Christmas projects, I have several Christmas projects already on the go. I will have more probably before the end of the year. I do love to stitch Christmas, but I want you guys to choose for me which of the 4 patterns I'm going to show you kitted, which of these 4 I should make my Jolly July start. So you may or may not know that Fat Quarter Shop run a Jolly July stitch along, and you choose, well, they have, there's usually a new chart that comes from Priscilla and Chelsea at Stitching with the Housewives, and they run the stitch along through July for you to stitch. And you know, they're promoting that pattern, but you can stitch anything that you like and join their Jolly July stitch along. I enjoy doing it, always have. Well, in the last 3 or 4 years now, I think. I have enjoyed stitching along, and I want to do the same this year, and I would like a nice new start. I have no guarantee that it will be finished by Christmas, but I did manage to finish last year's. You guys helped me choose last year's pattern, and it worked really well as a motivator, and that's what stitch-alongs are for me. They're fun and they're motivational. So I have 4 patterns from my stash that I have already kitted. I got them ready to stitch. Had hoped to stitch them in the past, but just didn't get around to them. So they are here and they're ready to go. And all I want is for you to tell me which one you think should be my Jolly July start. So I have added just a code word as I would for a giveaway. So there will be a code word for each pattern. If that's the one you want me to stitch, then make sure you use that code word. In the comment, just say stitch night or whatever it is, and that's how I will search for it. Okay, so the first of the 4 is a stitching with the Housewives pattern, and it is Silent Night. I have this all kitted and I would be very happy to stitch this. My plan for this one is to make it into a cushion. I have there and to all a good night pattern stitched up into a cushion, and when I bought this pattern I planned to make it a companion cushion piece really. So that is what I would do with it if I were to stitch it, if it is the one that you choose for me to stitch this July, or start this July I should say. So that is Silent Night. I have another stitching with the Housewives, and it is gingerbread cookies. I'm not going to take it out, I think we can manage without too much glare. There we go. This was the other option on last year's choices, but we didn't stitch it in the end. So it is a little recipe for gingerbread cookies, and I have a little recipe book stand that I would mount this on, and I would like to be able to display this one actually in my kitchen and make it removable, because I also have a carrot cake recipe stitch from stitching with the Housewives, so I would hope to be able to interchange those on this little wooden recipe stand. So that is my thought for the finish of that one if I were to stitch it. Okay, and I've realised I've forgotten to give the code words already, so I'll do a recap at the end of the 4. Okay. Anyway, the next one, oh, that is gingerbread cookies again. Right, the next one is Give Greatly by Silver Creek Samplers. It says your greatness is not in what you have, but what you give. I love that sentiment. I love it so much. I've had this kitted for a couple of years actually. I always think I'm going to do things and never get around to them, or don't get around to them at the time anyway. So might be a nice one to be able to get around to. I don't know what I will do to finish this one just yet. But I think it's so cute. The little bunny rabbit is giving the snowman his carrot. Might be a nice pillow. Might just be a nice stand-up, perhaps. We'll see. And then the last one that I have kitted, I actually bought this as a kit, but I've changed the fabric, but it is kitted and ready to stitch. So this is a Historic Sampler Company kit, and it's called Christmas Eve, and it's a little bit wrinkly so it's catching all the light, but hopefully you can see it without too much trouble. It's a very pretty Christmas tree with lots of teeny tiny things to stitch on it. So there'll be lots of colour changing and thread changing on this one, I think. Again, probably some kind of flat fold or stand up, something like that is what I imagine I would do to finish this one, although it would make a really nice cushion cover as well. So it depends on the size. I haven't really thought about what size it would be finished. But anyway, that is Christmas Eve. So to recap, I have two from Stitching with the Housewives. I've got Silent Night, the code word for which will be night. So put the word night, you know, to say you should stitch the night chart or something like that. Or we have gingerbread cookies, so use the word cookies. And then I have the Silver Creek Sampler Give Greatly. Please use the word rabbit for that one. And then Christmas Eve, we will just use the word tree for that one. Okay, I look forward to seeing which you choose. I realise that I've split the vote over 4 patterns this time. Normally I just split over 1 or over 2 or 3. So this probably will dilute the vote a little bit more, but it's always interesting to see how it goes. It takes off in one direction, but over the course of the week, as more and more people read, watch, and then comment, that it changes, and you think you know where it's going. It doesn't always go there. So, but it's a fun way. I find it a fun way to have a start. I know that I'm going to enjoy any of them. I know that I love them all because I'm the one making the offer of the patterns. These are all kitted up. I have planned to stitch them at some time, but it will be nice just to involve you guys and have you prompt me on which one I should start in July. So if you feel like participating in this little viewer's choice, then please do. So my plans for the next couple of weeks, I need a new daily thread stitch and a new focus whip, or something that replaces the focus, the couple of days that I have left on the focus whip. So I did finish the MFE piece, the family patchwork sampler, and I now have today, Sunday and Monday, when I had planned to stitch that, and I don't need to anymore. So what am I going to do? Oh my, I don't know what to choose. Lies, I do know what to choose. So for the rest of the month, which is pretty much the whole month, my bee bag from Pauline already has something in it, which is why it's got this tag on it, because I have labelled it. And very appropriately, I've got Queen Bee from Classic Colourworks. I've got a beautiful piece of linen. It's a greenish colour. I wish you could see it right. But no, I don't know if you can see it. It's a green, beautiful, beautiful green colour called Pippi. Actually, I don't know, it looks really beautiful. As I look down on it, it looks really beautiful green, but no, it's just not doing it. I wish you could see it though, it is really beautiful. Anyway, what I'm going to stitch with the beautiful fabric and the Queen Bee floss is another of Jacob's designs, and it's How Doth the Little Busy Bee. So that is my plan. This will be June's daily thread, so 1 thread a day. And I will make a start on it today, I hope, and it will be today and tomorrow's stitching, kind of in place of my focus whip, and then I will continue with it as a daily thread through the rest of June, and hopefully that will make some reasonable progress on it. I don't expect it to finish it by any stretch, but I hope that it will make it, you know, get it some good progress. I absolutely love Jacob's patterns. I did say that when I finished the family sampler, then I would consider the other modern folk embroidery sampler, that is the sister piece to Real Comfort, which I stitched. So that is I Am No Bird, and I am going to stitch I Am No Bird, but it's a little bit bigger, and I'm going to stitch it 1/1 on 25 count, so I just want a little bit more time. And I mentioned this because I know some of you wanted to join in with me when I'm stitching I Am No Bird. So my plan for I Am No Bird is to start it in August, and in August it will be my daily thread stitch. So I will start it then as a daily thread. It took me 3 months really to do as a daily thread, to stitch the real comfort piece. So I'm hoping that, you know, something similar will happen with I Am No Bird. Occasionally I might give it a day, you know, a day stitching focus, not just the thread, but that is my plan. If you want to join me, I will be starting it in August. I'm sorry for the delay if you were hoping it was a little bit sooner, but if you're hoping it's a little bit sooner, just, you know, go ahead and stitch it anyway, and you can share it with me when the time comes, or tag me when you are posting on Instagram anyhow. So, but if you want to stitch with me, August is the time when I am adding that to my schedule. Okay, so other plans then for the rest of June, or for the next couple of weeks of June. I have Things Unseen on my list. I've really just got a couple of rows at the bottom of that sampler to finish. So I'm hoping to finish one of those rows in this week coming. And then I want to keep going with Oh Holy Night, the Advent calendar piece. It's a kind of the dimensions kit. It's quite cutesy. I would like to keep that going. And I would like to make a start on the next Glitter Village house. So those 3 or 4 different projects for the next 2 weeks. I think that's going to be plenty, keeping me busy, as life keeps me busy enough anyhow. But those will hopefully be my de-stressors at the end of the day. And there are more plans for the rest of the month, but those are for the next couple of weeks, and I would hope to be back chatting with you again before those are finished. Before it's time to move on to the next stitches in my plans. So whatever you are planning for the rest of your June stitching, or for the next couple of weeks, I hope that it's fun. I hope that it gives you the mental break that we all need sometimes. And I just hope that it fills your heart. So please, in this next few weeks, please stay well and stitch happy. I'll see you soon. Bye.